Okay, we are live. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Okay, sorry about that. I was just kind of checking everything, making sure it was okay. So, um, tonight, in honor of the launch of my Kickstarter this past week, and since I've never really drawn him before, I figured I would paint the creature from Black Lagoon because it's kind of the like Universal's take on like a not a Dunwich horror. What is it? Innsmouth character sort of thing. I always felt like that. And I also have my idols here as well. Switch it over to the webcam so you can see these are my two idols that are available at my Kickstarter right now. Um, the link for that is over on my Twitter at asidesart on Twitter. And if you go, I think it's like the top pinned post on my profile right now. You can see it over there. So anyway, with this creature from Black Lagoon, I did the underpainting earlier yesterday. Fixed it with workable fixative, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach this. Oh, 1 second. There we go. Yep, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so what we're going to do is I did the underpainting of this the day before, fixed it with workable fixative, and what we'll be doing is hitting it with some watercolor to start with, pulling that out to create like a tonal underpainting, and then we'll kind of start tightening it up using acrylic and colored pencil as we can kind of get it done. So I'm just kind of get started. I thought, actually, I'll be right back. I need a paper towel. Okay, sorry about that. Let me just get back in here. All right, sorry about that. So we are using a white sable, Robert Simmons, to kind of lay in everything. What I'll probably do is kind of pre-wet it, I think, because I'm not planning to do how I've kind of done in the past where it's all over. I'm going to just kind of hit it in some general spots. And watercolor kind of tends to beat up on fixes anyway unless it's pre-wet. So this will help it. And then my watercolor it's from my travel set that I usually use. We'll be pretty much using Payne's Gray tonight. I may introduce some yellow ochre. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna keep this like a monochromatic painting just to keep it simple in myself tonight to kind of figure things out. So the yellow ochre may not get introduced a whole lot, but we are going to hit it with some Payne's Gray. And it's okay if it's dripping like this right now. I will kind of letting the watercolor do its thing. Actually, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, maybe we will introduce some of that yellow ochre. I don't want to introduce a whole lot of it, just a few touches here and there. This fly that's been terrorizing us inside our house this evenings. You decided to drop by. Okay. So we're just kind of working quickly here, blocking in the rest of this. Letting it run a little bit. And then what we'll do is we're going to end up pulling out our forms using pure water on this. Hopefully the fixative resisted the watercolor enough that we can do this. Watercolor tends to, with gouache, this is a kind of a sure bet. Watercolor tends to stain a little bit more, so it can get a little tricky with that kind of thing. So I never really know if it is working how I want it to. Judging by how it's working with the spray, though, I'm feeling confident that it is going to lift out. I just want to get some nice textures in here that we can work off of. Okay, and then I want to load up that area. I don't really want like light spots in this since we're going to be pulling out a lot of it. So if whatever I can use to kind of darken it and stuff, the better. And I'm trying out some cold press illustration board. I tend to work with hot press. Just decided tonight to work with the cold press to see how it is. So, All right, with that, I'll probably mute myself here in a moment so this sound isn't too annoying, but I'm going to kind of hit it with an hair dryer just to speed things up. So 1 second. Okay, I'm debating whether or not I should add some yellow ochre to like here to help just define this silhouette of the creature a little bit more. You know what? Yeah, let's go for it. The worst case scenario is we just hit it with gesso and cover it, you know? Okay. And for those that are joining me just now, let me see real quick. I'm doing this in celebration of the launch of my Kickstarter this past week. You can find the link of that over at A Sides Art on Twitter. I have the link for the Kickstarter pinned to the top there. And it is for these. I'll switch it over real quick. These two idols, Cthulhu idols, that are cold cast resin with bronze and steel. And so I have the Kickstarter for those going on right now over on Kickstarter. You can find the link on Twitter at asidesart. And it's trucking along. We're almost at 50%. So, all right. I'm going to mute myself again so I can hit the rest of this with the hair dryer. Okay. There doesn't need a particular brand for the hairdryer either. Just use whatever you can get your hands on. The one I'm using is some Con Air that I've had for, jeez, I don't know, about since college. That was a little over 13, 14 years ago now, since I was last in college. And I think I bogarted it from my girlfriend at the time or something like that. Okay, so now I'm just getting my brushes wet. I tend to put like a hair conditioner wax in my brushes to retain their points, even on these old beat up ones. So I just need to rinse it with water first to get it going, to get all that stuff out before I start hitting this. Let's see. Where should we start? Guess no place like the top. Let's see. Do I need to use a stronger brush than a sable right now? It may be prudent. Yeah, actually, I may mute myself real quick while I go get another brush. 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. We're going to use some mongoose brushes for this over the white sable just to get this started. The mongoose is a little stiffer. Oh, hey, Earl. Yeah, yeah. Marcy took a while to get down to bed. That's why I was running late tonight. She did not want to lay down in her crib, so I had to lay down with her. And I'm seeing how well this watercolor takes to the lift up method for painting this. And the thing I'm noticing off the bat is if I'm scrubbing too much, it starts to pick up some You can kind of see it like right there. Some paper fibers are starting to get disturbed just because it's so inundated with water already. Like I can see this is a very thin piece of the illustration board too, so that's probably part of it. But the illustration board is like actually bowing up on the surface right now because it's so inundated with water from the watercolor. And now I'm just adding even more water by doing this pick out method for it. So just going at this slowly, getting this out. So then we can move on to the fun stuff. I think it's going good. I need to figure out some other areas where I can promote it. I just started running a promotion on Instagram the other day. Of course, Instagram now doing what it is. So Reddit, I don't like. I tend to lurk on Reddit. I'm not really a big poster on Reddit, and I mean, you know how a lot of Reddit groups are about people, lack of a better word, interlopers coming in and hawking their wares if they don't have a posting history. Oh, really? How frequent of a poster are you over there? There is a Lovecraft group that I yeah, so there is a Lovecraft group that I found. I need to see if there's another one around, but the one I found was very adamant about like we don't want people posting their uh basically selling merch. Any Kickstarters, any kind of thing that is not just like a celebration of Lovecraft, like just submitting fan art kind of thing, we don't want it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess there is no need for me to be here then. So I need to see if there's another group that's on there then. Because the one I found was not at all welcoming for that. This watercolor is. I'm kind of reminded why I don't use watercolor for this. Because it'll go down and you think it's like kind of opaque. But then, like after you dry it, it lightens up a lot. So the pick out isn't as strong as it could be compared to like say gouache. But we'll try it out. This is one of the main reasons I figured I would try it. I just wanted to see again how it would work compared to gouache, just to confirm some suspicions of mine and be like, oh, okay, yep. But yeah, we're almost at 50%. It looks like. I do wish it was a little bit further along than what it is right now. And again, it's I just need to figure out some other areas to promote. Uh, I wasn't sure about promoting on Twitter, like a paid tweet. Um, I think that probably is not as effective as a Facebook ad or as an Instagram ad. I'm not sure. Then again, Instagram, with their recent DS changes, that may be a futile gesture over there too. Really? Okay. I guess yeah. They kind of tamp that down, don't they? Yeah. Yeah. I really need to hunt around for a Reddit group or something tomorrow to see if there's one I can post on. There is a Facebook group that I'm part of that I posted on for Lovecraft people that went surprisingly nowhere. Yeah, like it got like no traction in that group from what I can tell. Like I think I saw like one or two hits from the referral link. That was it. And I think out of those, one maybe clicked through. And then I had a couple come over from Alan. I know he's gonna promote it again soon. Yeah, yeah, it is frustrating. Um, I mean, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, I'm gonna try not to be like too mad about it. I would like to see it happen, of course. If it doesn't happen, I'm kind of basically setting myself to be like it's not the end of the world because it's very easy to fall down that route with that kind of thing. Um, I've got some other things I need to take care of this week too, in addition to all the usual house stuff. But this is my week off, so I'm gonna try and get some storyboard stuff samples done for an ad agency, so I can kind of get some more work with that. Yeah, I would love to see it happen. Um, it's interesting. So what's funny is like, so I launched it, and then 3 days later, I noticed that there is actually a resin shortage in the U.S. Because something like 85% of resin in the U.S. is produced in Texas. And because of COVID and the winter storms that hit Texas, um, they got squeezed on both ends, and they basically had the same thing happen to them that happened with lumber and with a bunch of other industries too, where COVID finally caught up to their supply, and then some other extenuating circumstances just pushed it over the edge. So yeah, there is actually a shortage of resin right now. So I'm kind of hoping that like by the end of the Kickstarter, it'll be resolved, and then I don't have to worry about it. Because otherwise, I'm going to be stuck at like no, yeah, for real. And it was something that like I found out like literally 2 or 3 days after I launched the Kickstarter. I was like, oh shit, had no idea this was even going on right now. Thankfully, it's not on the level of like say some of the people that have board games launching that are faced with like astronomical um, shipping container costs because they're have things printed overseas and whatnot. But it is still like a case of I have to call around to be like, hey, are you carrying this resin? Do you know when it'll be back in stock? and hopefully by August, when this result when my Kickstarter ends, that'll be resolved. It sounds like now, from what I understand, everything is they're working. It's just a matter of because of the COVID and because of winter storms, all of their supply was depleted because the winter storms basically knocked out their uh, operations for a few days. And then COVID shortchanged their staff because they were working half power to accommodate social distancing and all that. And those two factors basically created the perfect storm combined with people having a demand still for resin, and then there actually being more of a demand because some people have started taking up like mold making and casting while they've been at home. So yeah, it's just a perfect storm of things happening. And yeah, 80 like something like 85% of the US supply of resin is produced in Texas, which makes me wonder where in Texas. Because I have a feeling they're probably all in the same area. Okay, so let's see. Still motoring on this. Trying to figure out, remember where I wanted my lights to be on this. I'm not sure how. I can kind of see it on the monitor over my left shoulder, but I'm not sure how well this is showing up for everyone. Hopefully, as we move into acrylic and colored pencil, this will be a little better. So yeah, going back to promotion, I need to. I sent out a newsletter, asked some friends to kind of post within their own discords and stuff, like within a like groups that would be adjacent to Lovecraft fans, people that would probably dig into that sort of thing as well. Um, I have set up a Instagram ad the other day. I saw it had a decent amount of click throughs. It looked like. I'm kind of curious to see how many more it continues throughout the week. Yeah, there is someone I need to reach out to about that. Yeah, I should probably see if there is some podcasts or something I can reach out to. It's I'm it's weird because like I am okay with like asking friends and stuff for that. It's stranger for me if someone just you know I think about it like how I am. Like if someone were to like just message me out of the blue, I'd be like, oh no, what? Who are you? Um, so I need to kind of I want to use like my inroads that I have right now before I start like cold calling people on that. I need to gotta see if there's another Reddit group that I can kind of post on or something, because the one I found was not welcoming whatsoever for that kind of thing. At least it is, compared to the medallions I tried to launch last year, which there's a couple things I did wrong with that. Compared to last year when I tried to launch those, this one is definitely having better traction, and it did have a better initial start, and it's further along than it was the last year attempt. Let's see. And I think I hear. I was trying to see if I was hearing my kid or if that was an owl, and I think it's an owl. There's some crazy owl outside that is apparently going bananas. Yeah, yeah. Had to do a few takes for that, just because talking is a little more difficult for me now. Like there's certain words that I have trouble enunciating. But yeah, it was fun. And it was that was an interesting thing of like I basically gave myself a crash course lesson in figuring out how to render out animate, because I never really rendered out animations in Blender before. So I gave myself a crash course lesson in rendering out some animation shots. Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess it's more, I don't want it to sound too much like I'm slurring together my words. Um, there's certain sounds now that do just come out softer. Um, but yeah, so I gave myself like a crash course lesson in Blender, not with Blender, but with Blender animation, and then DaVinci Resolve for editing and audio mixing and stuff for the cutting it all together. And then I had the wild ass idea to be like, oh, I should redo all this in Unreal Engine, which I have very marginal experience with. And I stopped myself short of that. Like I started building it, and I said, "No, Andrew, this is dumb. Just you already have serviceable footage. You should just use that." I guess it's a matter of like intentional versus like it's a matter of like it's sounding intentional versus it's sounding unintentional. And I think I was worried about if it would sound intentional enough, which I guess I thinking about it I could have leaned into it more, but I didn't. um but no, it's yeah, I am proud of the little audio thing. Yeah, it's just it's a side effect of the facial paralysis on the side. It's just there's mainly hard consonants kind of thing, like P sounds, B sounds, uh, anything that kind of requires you to pucker your lips or press them tight against each other, which is a decent amount of words, I suppose. It depends on it. I can trip over them here and there. It's not too bad. I did notice, at least like on the audio afterwards, it doesn't sound as bad as I think it is. Kind of, I guess, in the same way, like when you hear yourself recorded, you're like, oh wow, that's what I sound like. This was a case of I was actually surprised that it wasn't as noticeable as I thought it was. Okay, this guy. Hey, I'm doing decent on time on this. We'll see. We'll see how far I can get on this tonight. This might be a case of I'm going to do as much as I can tonight and then just finish it off camera. Um, just because we have some other things throughout this week that we have to take care of. No, I can't because I have a delivery tomorrow morning around like, excuse me, between like 8 and 10 a.m. And it's not just like a thing I can sign off on. It's like they're delivering a bunch of Cypress chips. Oh, I do know Sal. Yeah, I should ask him about Kickstarter promotion because he's pretty good at it, isn't he? And he would know he would basically be a font of knowledge for that kind of, at least like the kind of groups that I'm targeting, I believe. Yeah, exactly. That makes me wonder. Is does Bruce? Do you know Nate Hillier at all? Do you know if he does like Kickstarter promotions? I know that he promotes. He's in the same vein. He does some work that's kind of reminiscent of Samurai, at least like some of his painted work here and there. Not all of it, just some of it kind of reminds me of his work. Sam's what Sam has been labeling as his Lovecraftian experimentations with I think it was acrylic on Yupo paper or watercolor on Yupo paper, something like that. But yeah, he does some of that. Like I actually have one of Nate's original ballpoint drawings. It's a nice little drawing. Actually, I need to get it hung up. I need to build a frame for it. But yeah, he's someone else I should probably ask because I don't know if he. I know he's rather good at uh, getting himself out there. I just don't know if he's done a Kickstarter or not. Actually, I should see. because I'm friends with Sal on Instagram and Facebook, but I should see if I'm following him on Twitter, since I've grown to like. Oh, okay, yeah, good. Then I'm gonna probably look for him tonight after the stream just to follow him so I can message him. We've only met in person once, I think, at a LuxCon, but he was a cool dude. I liked talking to Sal. Oh, is he? Oh my god. What's his Twitch channel? Is it just Sal? Is it his usual thing? I think it's Sal the Dark Cloak. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, the Dark Cloak. I didn't see that earlier. Yeah, I'll have to look around on Twitch then for him as well. So I normally would not do like a Wednesday stream, but I don't have work tomorrow, so I can kind of do this and not worry about it. But yeah, Errol, to your point earlier, I can't stream until like 4 a.m. tonight or 2 a.m., however late I usually go, because tomorrow morning I have to wake up at like the ass crack of dawn to accept a delivery of playground chips so I can fill out the backyard with these cypress playground chip mulch. Oh, yeah, I might need to hit him up then and just see if he might be willing to do that. And then I have a pest control guy coming at like, I don't know, shortly after that. So our morning tomorrow is stupid busy for what should be like a week off. Well, they're gonna come at 8 to 10. Um, and I just need to be awake because like they don't. I have to give them a check because apparently they don't take credit card. They only take checks or cash, I suppose. Um, and then I also have to basically tell them where to dump it in my driveway, which also means after this stream I need to move one of our cars so we can have access to that. Uh, so we can have access to that car tomorrow morning. Because there's a good chance that all of this mulch is going to take up like a significant part of our driveway for a couple hours. All right, let me see. Kind of doing a once over real quick before I hit it with the hair dryer again and then start in on a colored pencil. Or actually, I might actually give it a quick light spray of fixative before I hit it with the color pencil, just because the surface is so wet right now and not conducive for colored pencil at all for any kind of drawing utensil. It'll probably tear at the paper. So hitting it with the hair dryer and then doing a spray of fixative over it will reintroduce some texture that the pencil can kind of grip to. Okay. Alright, let's see. We've got that. Put these off to the side for a brief moment. Alright. Gonna turn this on, so I'm gonna mute myself. Okay. I'm gonna go spray some fixative on this. I'm gonna go get some water and I'll be right back. Okay. I think it should be okay. Yeah, alright. So now I'm going to just start going back in with colored pencil to, which actually, sorry, I need to sharpen this. Oh no, that just fell. Oh well, that's alright. I like this pencil sharpener, this Athmat one, but the canister likes to pop off at any given notice. But it does create very nice and sharp points. So let's see if that was enough fixative. Oh, good. Yeah, it looks like it. Where did you find a hand crank one? Is it the kind that... So, okay, so you know what I don't like about the portable ones is they are just and this is the same issue I have with a lot of electric sharpeners, is they just have like the X-Acto blade within them, and I don't like how those sharpen. I think those are terrible. Don't know if this will show up well at all on the camera, but this has like similar thing to what the hand cranks have, which is like the grinding gears. I have another pencil sharpener like that. It's this old pencil sharpener that is made by Panasonic. Oh, okay. Gotcha. But yeah, I have this old Panasonic electric pencil sharpener that also has the grinding gears. It's just, it takes, it's not in a conducive place in my studio, and it needs to be corded. So that makes it hard to reach over to and stuff if I'm working. And I wish there was a... I like this one a lot. What I need is I need a portable version that is just that grinding gear. That I can carry around. I would be very happy, because most portable pencil sharpeners I do not like for the reason I stated earlier. But like, if you use any kind of like clutch pencil that has like the 2mm leads as a mechanical pencil, and you know the sharpener that comes with that, I need that for a wooden pencil. That same kind of grinding gear. And that would be one of my perfect pencil sharpeners. If I had the money and time, I would absolutely, that would absolutely be something I would like kind of dick around with just to figure out. I'm just laying in the base darks here, and then hopefully that can give us a good base to work off of. Man, when I was looking at the reference for this, I forgot how much I like the design of the creature. It's such a cool design. Especially for its time. It's a really good design for its time. I forget the character designer's name, the creature designer's name, but she did a phenomenal job with this monster. And it's a shame she didn't get her credit at the time. You know what? Well, the issue is because it's owned by Universal, and I feel like they probably don't know what to do with it. Though, whoever, the production team for Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, if they were probably given free reign on this, they probably could have done something good, I bet. Modern, I don't know. I mean, Guillermo del Toro basically did his version of the creature from Black Lagoon, which is, like what you said, Errol, it's The Shape of Water. So I don't know if he would have a desire to revisit it, but Universal, it would behoove Universal to revisit it and do their take on it. That's, I guess, the bigger question. Okay, so their dumb, like, dark universe thing that they were going to do. Were there ever any talks or any plans whatsoever to reintroduce the creature from the Black Lagoon into that? Or were they just going to, like, quietly sidestep it? Were they? Yeah, because, like, I don't recall ever hearing anything about it. In all of their talk, like, their talk with the Mummy, their Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, they had the Invisible Man that they were going to do. That, like, weird BS, like, group photo they had of all the actors they were going to have as part of their dark universe that went nowhere. They weren't going to do. I don't remember any shot of the creature from Black Lagoon in that. So, as far as I'm aware, that one does not count as part of their dark universe thing. At least, like, their weird attempt at it. That was basically Universal saying, "Hey, we don't know what the hell to do with this. Give it to Blumhouse. See if he could make something of it." And he did. It's all right. I liked parts of it. I thought the ending was a little weak, but overall I thought it was relatively good. I thought the conceit of it being like a trauma thing, from a like abuse victim standpoint, like that was kind of interesting. Now that I think about it, now I can't remember. Yeah, I like the psychological angle a lot. I don't remember is do you remember Hollow Man? I think it was called Hollow Man. The Kevin Bacon movie, was that a Universal thing, or was that like just their take? Was that some other studio's take on like the Invisible Man, or was that like an official like Universal monster outing? Columbia Pictures. Okay, yeah, so I guess it was. Columbia is. I don't know if it was at the time, but it's now owned by Sony. So I guess it wasn't part of Universal. Then again, like these smaller companies kind of get shunted around between the larger companies. So maybe it was a Universal thing at the time, or like it was a joint venture. Because like Touchstone, I don't think Touchstone is owned by Disney anymore, but it used to. Which I think that means that Disney owns Tiptoes, starring Gary Oldman, in one of the worst movies I have seen. Yeah, yeah, that's why I wasn't sure about it. Like, because I know that there's also a ooh, 1980 Invisible Man movie, and I don't know if that was Universal or not. That might have been another separate thing. But yeah, it's like you said, Errol. It's public domain, so as long as it's not specifically the look that Universal was using for their movie, you can kind of do whatever with it. Which is kind of a disappointment with this creature, because this creature is a Universal thing, and Christ, they just aren't doing anything with it. And I think a creature feature would do well. Then again, I went down the rabbit hole on looking into that whole thing, and I remember, oh Christ, what was it? Dracula. I think it was called Dracula 2000. That was supposed to be their dark universe launching off point, but it bombed, so they quietly shunted it to the side and said, next go around. And I could have sworn that the Van Helsing movie with Hugh Jackman was supposed to lead to a larger thing, but it just didn't. It didn't really go anywhere. Oh yeah, okay, so it really was. I don't know, man. Sounds like all these places just keep trying to make franchises happening before they realize they have a franchise. Interesting. And come to think of it, besides like Russell Crowe's Jekyll Hyde, but not really. I mean, I know he is supposed to be Jekyll Hyde, but he doesn't really factor into it whatsoever to count as far as I'm concerned. The only like film Jekyll Hyde we have is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which has a Jekyll Hyde that's basically the Hulk before the Hulk. No, who else? Where else was there a Jekyll Hyde? Oh, yeah, I guess that does count. Yeah, that's just the comedy version of Jekyll Hyde. You're right. Didn't even think about that. Now I think about it. Okay, so the Eddie Murphy one is a remake of a 1950 something movie, I believe. I wonder, did they have that intention back then too? Were they like, oh, let's make this a comedic Jekyll Hyde, or did they just happen to fall into that comparison and they didn't realize it until after the fact? I don't. It seems that would be too coincidental, I think, for it to really be that. I just wonder, was that actually their intention? Okay, that's a Disney movie, isn't it? So one thing I'm actually real quick, one thing I'm finding about this cold press illustration board is the same issue I have with any kind of cold press thing is I don't quite like the texture it's leaving. It is nicer to draw on than say hot press. But yeah, it's just because it's cold press, it doesn't quite have the same slickness as a hot press illustration board. But we'll make that work. Paramount. Okay, interesting. That one, like the original one and the original what is it? The Absent-Minded Professor. Like those two, I have like kind of merged in my head as one movie, the same way like I have Ghostbusters 1 and 2 merged in my head as one movie. So I always wonder if the Nutty Professor was a Disney movie, since I know that the Absent-Minded Professor was. Just kind of hitting some areas. I'm going to give myself about 30 something more minutes, maybe a little bit longer, not too much longer. So I may go into the white, hitting it with the white colored pencil now just to get that underway. Because I think I can noodle with the black colored pencil for ages on it, but I think I need the white colored pencil just to start pushing out some other forms and stuff. You know, that reminds me of is I need to watch. It's on Disney. It's one of their older movies. It's called Million Dollar Duck. Million Dollar Duck. And it's one of those weirdo 1950 Disney ideas where they're just like, yeah, whatever. This random idea involving an animal with a funny premise. I don't know how much that is coming out for you guys. This is because it's barely showing up for me, so. And I'm kind of hitting it with a charcoal pencil and the colored pencil to see which one stands out a little bit better. Yes, I need to watch that too. Um, Someone else recommended that. I forget who. On one of the discords I'm part of, they recommended the Owl House, and if I remember right, isn't it by He's not a direct. He's not the direct creator on it, but isn't the Gravity Falls creator Alex Hirsch? Isn't he part of that development on the Owl House? But yeah, that is one I need to check out as well. We've been watching Fear Street on Netflix. Well, I mean it's like two movies so far, and the third movie comes out this Friday. But we've been watching those as we've had time here and there. I've been enjoying it. It's been like good, campy fun. Only really one interesting kill though within it, which is kind of a shame. I had hoped that there would be more. It's good, yeah. Okay, so he's a voice on it. Yeah, Fear Street's good. It's definitely like got a good campy vibe to it. Like reminds me, it does remind me a lot of kinda gives me like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th vibes. I would say, and the soundtrack and all that. Like it overall, it's rather fun. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. The only, I guess, my only gripe with it so far is it has only had like one interesting kill in the whole thing. All the rest of it has been mostly. There is a supernatural aspect. There's a heavy supernatural aspect to it. So this is kind of what they lay out pretty much right at the beginning of the series. They pretty much say this in the title, like as the title screen is overlaid. There's two towns. One is called Sunnyvale, and one is called Shadyside. And everyone in Shadyside is pretty much cursed by a witch called Sarah Fear. She cursed the town like centuries ago, and because of that curse, there is a extra normal amount of killings in the town. Yes, so but it's not spelt fear like that. It's spelt Fier, and they kind of say like, oh, it's Sarah Fier, and it's like, no, it's fear. It's fear. Like I can even hear some of you saying it's fear. It's Sarah Fear. The whole series is called Fear Street. Come on, we know what we're saying. But yeah, the first movie takes place in 1994. The second movie takes place in 1978, if I remember right. And then the third movie that comes out this Friday takes place in 1666, and it's like the origin of what all went down, I guess, that caused this town to be like cursed. Oh, and the other aspect of it that you quickly find out is the Sunnyvale. If you live in Sunnyvale, basically your life is perfect. And I guess because the two towns, this is not something that really, in the way that they have it set up in this is not something that is uh, normal to me growing up in Florida. Um, but I do know that this is a thing that where basically you have two towns that are basically so close together that they operate as one, but they still have like their separateness where they are like, oh no, you don't, that's that town and this is our town kind of thing. Here within Orlando, it's yeah, like it's definitely something that happens more smaller towns or more rural towns kind of thing. Here we have so many. We basically have within Orlando, like what is considered Orlando is actually let's see, one, two, three, four, five. It's like six, seven different towns that comprise Orlando, and you honestly don't know that you're driving from one to the other uh, at all. There's like no there's really no distinction between them. Not in the way that they have it emphasized in here, where it's like, oh, if you're from Shady Side, you're like considered poor or cursed or whatever. You always have like this curse hanging over. If you're in Sunnyvale, you're perfect and you're more affluent and wealthy. But they all like go to the same school basically. They share like a police department. Yeah, exactly. But like the wrong side of the tracks is solely because this one town decided to fuck with a witch ages ago, and this witch cursed them all. But we've been enjoying it. Yeah, it's been rather fun. One other interesting thing of note is like it's because the first one takes place in 1994. Whoever cut it together, yeah, supernatural segregation indeed. Um, because the first one takes place in 1994. Whoever edited it together basically decided to throw every single 90s song within it, and my God, listening to all that, like Ange and I both basically stopped and looked at each other and said, "Oh my God, we are the olds now," because this is all music that we remembered as a kid. Oh, and there's a great little AOL Messenger shout out that I was like, "Oh my God, I remember that doing that when I was younger too," kind of thing. But yeah, only one interesting kill within it, really. All the rest of the kills are kind of. Red Lightning Witch. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They had the exact noise, and like my ears pricked up when I heard it. I was like, holy shit! I know exactly what that is. But yeah, worth checking out. It starts off good. It's actually been good overall. The first one is kind of more like it gave off like Scream vibes, and then the second one, because it takes place in 1978 and it takes place in a camp, gives off more like Friday the 13th vibes. And judging by the trailer they show at the end of the second movie of like what the third movie is going to be like, which I think kind of gives me like a poor man's witch vibe, like someone doing like the witch, but their janky version of it, maybe. Which doesn't mean that I don't think it's going to be good. I just, at least like looking at it, I was like, oh, okay, you guys are like, this is what you're trying to do compared to like what you're trying to do with the other two. Yeah, yeah, like what I wasn't sure. And sorry, Gobble Porch, I didn't see you earlier, but yeah, I am enjoying I am enjoying Fear Street 1 and 2 a lot. And the overarching plot's good. The actors are great. They've been really fun. Oh no, I haven't seen that. My wife has been trying to get me to watch Lupin. That's on Netflix. That's the only like recent French series that I'm aware of. And I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it because I'd like to see it in the original language at least or something, and subtitles. A lot of TV watching I do tends to be when I'm working as well, so subtitles don't tend to mix well with me. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, Gobble Porch. I didn't really want to like give it away exactly what the death was, but yeah, that one, the first one has the one great death in it. Okay, Bruce. Yeah, I'll have to check that out in a little bit once I'm off the air to see what that looks like. Ooh, one of the scary. So is that so that's on it was on Netflix a few years ago, or is it on Netflix now? You think? Oh, it might be. Okay, yeah. I'll have to check it out then to see if it is. I have not had a good scary like a movie that genuinely scared me, really. Most horror I'm like in it for the schlock of it. I'm like, yeah. Um like another one that the Fear Street kind of reminded me of was Freaky, the movie that just came out last year with Vince Vaughn. That's basically a slasher version of Friday the 13th. Yeah, the original Pet Cemetery is fantastic. Um, I liked The Haunting of Hill House. The Haunting of Bly Manor I have not finished. It's for me. I tend to be a little narcoleptic depending on the show. Um, Yeah, the final episode of Hill House was all right. The Bly Manor one I did not finish. Yeah, so I only got like I do think I only got like 4 episodes in, and then I just kind of gave it a pause because I was like I'm not like totally vested in this yet. And at that point, like I was already late to the party on it, and there's other things I wanted to check out as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's basically a horror version of Freaky Friday, slasher Freaky Friday. Errol, wait, did you see that one, Errol? Yeah, I'll have to. I'll have to give Horror Bly Manor another chance. I did think it was interesting. Uh, this isn't a knock on the series at all. Like this doesn't speak to anything about the series quality or anything like that. But I did find it interesting that in the one of the characters at the beginning, before they do the flashback, is played by Greg Sestero, aka Highmark of The Room. And I think that's rather ballsy to be like, hey, we're going to put the room guy in our movie or in our show. Yeah. Yeah, it was those initial episodes of Bly Manor were interesting to me. They were just so slow, and we because like we can't watch them obviously with the kid awake and stuff. Because we don't like want to give her nightmares or anything like that. So we start watching them around like 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, and some nights I'm too tired for a slow burn show. Errol, though, you should watch Freaky. It's really fun. Like if you like Freaky Friday, if you like slasher movies, it's a definite fun time. We had a lot of fun with that movie. And we like I even showed Ange the trailer beforehand because I kind of knew about it. And yeah, like the trailers. If you know Freaky Friday at all, you're like, okay, got it. It's Freaky Friday. But yeah, it was a great time. It was really fun. So yeah, this cold press illustration board is not been my favorite for drawing. I thought it's weird. I kind of thought it might be okay. It does have a little nicer tooth for the colored pencil. I just don't like how much texture it has, to be honest. But I don't. I think it's just more personal preference. It's not like detracting from the picture at all. I'm trying to think if there's any other good horror movies I've seen recently. Uh, Fear Street's been a lot of fun. Oh yeah, I know that. I'm almost positive that's why it got remade into a slasher movie. Um, you know what? I'm okay with that. Like I'd rather them take a premise that I'm aware of and turn it on its head, like how Freaky does, to turn it into a horror movie. Oh, see, like it, with bad movies, okay. So it depends. If it's boring and bad, I don't have time for that. It's I don't want to devote any time for that. But I have devoted energy and focus to many a bad movie that uh, should probably not have any attention to it, just because it's fun, or the production quality is so baffling that you're like, oh no, like people chucked money at this. People spent money on this thing. And yeah, because horror movies are fairly cheap to produce compared to other movies. Yeah, you get a lot of clunkers within horror movies. But yeah, I do recommend Freaky. Even if you know that the premise is like a Friday the 13th thing, it's or sorry, a Freaky Friday thing. Yeah, yeah, 100 million. Well, you know what's crazy is a lot of horror movies aren't even produced for that much. They're usually on even less than that. Like I think the Invisible Man movie that just came out, the Blumhouse one, was that might have been a budget of 75 million, I think, which is nowadays is considered incredibly cheap, even though that was not the case back in like 2000s or whatever. Yes, I need to. Yeah, yeah. So, God, I need to watch One Cut of the Dead. That's another one that we've had on the list and just have not. It's been a case of like whenever we want to sit and watch, I'll be like, oh, do you want to watch something with subtitles, or do you want to watch a something that we don't have to read? And my wife's usually been like, oh, I don't feel like reading subtitles tonight. Can we just watch something else out? Something that we can have on the background while we work or whatever. But yeah, the One Cut of the Dead is one that I do want to see and check out. The trailer for that looked great. What I heard of it sounded amazing. um, Very cheap. It's like Blair Witch money or Blair Witch profit margins, because I think Blair Witch was made for 10,000, something like that. 10 or 15,000, and made stupid amount of money as a result. Oh, with yeah, what they did with One Cut of the Dead, or with Blair Witch. 'Cause if I Yeah, yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. What I heard of the premise of One Cut of the Dead is they're film students and they're shooting a zombie movie for like their senior film or whatever, and then an actual zombie break happens in the middle of their filming, and the whole movie is basically them realizing that, like, I think halfway through they realize that there's an actual zombie break happening, and the whole movie is done, or at least appears to be done in one take. Okay. Yeah, I need to check it out. It's been on our radar for a while. Just have not had a chance to um, see it. That is one I do want to check out. Try to think, what other horror movies did we check out recently? Fear Street. I personally watched The Lighthouse last year. Um, that was that was basically my movie night. My wife had no interest in seeing that movie with me. but I quite enjoyed it for what it was. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll be on board with it because I've been really curious to see it, and I've heard various things about it that and also judging by the trailer also seemed very like, okay, this is very Japanese. It has some tonal shifts even within the trailer that I'm like, okay, got it. It's gonna go over all over the place. This should be fascinating. You know what? Let me see. 1 second. All right, to wrap this up before the end of the night, I'm going to hit it with some, excuse me, with some white paint just in a couple key areas to liven this up a little bit more before I call it. Yeah, one cut looked great though. I am still very curious about it. Freaky was fantastic. Fear Street was a lot of fun. It nailed the first one nailed the whole aesthetic of the 90s really well. Um, and just the general vibe. So I definitely recommend that one. And the second one is also great. The second one actually I think was a little bit stronger um, compared to the first one in terms of it as a standalone movie. I've been thinking lately about wanting to rewatch the old Nightmare on Elm Street movies, just because those are always I always have a lot of fun with those. And it's only fitting. Right around when my kid was born, when she was still really young, we would watch like uh, the Friday, not the Friday. Yeah, yeah, we would watch the Friday 13th movies because they were, I think they were all on Prime at the time, so it was an easy thing to watch. Yeah, yeah. I love the iconic characters of the '90s that were in the slasher movies. Fear Street kinda sorta has that. There's not but the thing is like because they're pastiches, they're all basically there's like a Jason Voorhees type. There's a Scream type. Um, it was just within Film Street, Theater Street. And that's kind of just how it is. Oh, something I found out yesterday. We were this was we were kind of googling around on R.L. Stein as we were watching Fear Street because that is Fear Street's his one of his book series that he created before Goosebumps. And I did not know this, but he is the creator of Eureka's Castle on Nickelodeon. If you remember that from when we were younger. Yeah, super random. Um, it was he did that before he got into writing novels, the like the all the horror novels and stuff. He was the head creator and head writer of Eureka's Castle. But yeah, no, he actually had a fairly prolific career before excuse me, before he started doing the horror novels. And yeah, Bruce, I like. I guess when I think about it, I like the haunting type stories usually because those, depending on how they're done, they can be a little more frightening for me. Um, However, I love the slasher movie type, like the dumb, fun killing type movies, just because it's kind of like just sit back and watch. Like I don't get afraid of them really or anything. Like I watch them just because of the usually because if there's interesting kills, how fun is it? How convoluted of a kill can you make this? If it's just like oh, you know what? This is actually a really good example. If you just have really boring kills within a movie, it's no fun. Uh, and a prime example of this is two movies that we watched at the same time, which was Freaky, and then like the very next week we watched Hellfest, which I remember at the time when it was coming out in theaters, it was it looked interesting from the trailers. It looked like something that I would be interested in. It turned out to be incredibly boring. Just awful kills. The characters were not likable either, so the whole thing was just not fun whatsoever. Meanwhile, Freaky had some pretty decent kills. It had a lot of fun kills. And it does have one character just shouting, "Shoot that motherfucker!" at the end, which was so fun. Oh, lucky. We were gonna bake cookies, but tonight, but we just had too much to do. Like I wanted to do live stream, and then Ange wanted to clean some parts of the house and stuff. So we opted not to do that. Um, I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? There was another. Oh, a like when I think about it, like a slasher movie that I did not care for at all. Um, because it wasn't fun, and I remember the effects being incredible uh, for one scene, and the rest of it just kind of is dull and not very terribly interesting. Is the French movie Haute Couture? Pretty sure that's what it is. I think it's called. I think its English title is High Voltage or High Tension. High Tension, I think it's called. The one where it turns out this lady basically has like I shudder to even call it like a split personality disorder because it doesn't make any sense at all. But she has like a this split personality disorder that kills her friend's family because she's in love with her friend. Yeah, I remember at the time thinking like, "Wow, holy shit!" The farmhouse scene where her persona is going through and killing all the family. The effects in it are, I'll give my hat to it. The effects in it are incredibly well done. It's just that the movie itself is not very fun to watch, and the killings are too realistic to even enjoy them. Really, it's just it's too much. It's too much compared to like I could watch Jason Voorhees put someone on a fence pike and turn them around like a spigot on a faucet. And that doesn't affect me whatsoever, and I have incredible fun with that. But yeah, Hot Couture, uh, yeah, it was just too much. So at least with my slasher movies, I tend to prefer them to be on the campy side of cheesy. Yeah, and I guess yeah, it's a French film. It has different cultural things. I think um, there are a couple other French films that I do like. So I don't know. Maybe it is just I just don't prefer. I just don't think I like what they were doing, what they wanted to do with that. Um, I think what they were trying to do, they pretty much hit the mark of what they were trying to attempt with it. I just didn't care for it, you know. Um, I feel the same way with the Michael Bay remake of Friday the 13th and the other. Who did the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street? Both of those I feel like were not great remakes of their those characters. Like they took the fun out of those characters, and it's kind of like when you don't have that fun, what do you have? You just have a very dull, not very enjoyable character to be around. Like the Nightmare on Elm Street, I remember the remake. played up the fact that he is a pedophile, which he is in the first one too. Like, sorry, in the originals as well. Um, but yeah, if you're playing it up too much, you kind of I think as an audience member, you stop and you think like, oh yeah, he is a pedophile. Wait, why are we enjoying watching him kill these people? Well, you know what? Like, okay, to that point, I don't remember them changing up the look of Jason Voorhees at all for the remake. And then Nightmare on Elm Street, what did they do to Freddy in that? Then they didn't really do a whole lot different with him, if I recall. I think like his makeup was a little grittier or something, but that might have been it. Oh, for Nightmare on Elm Street, instead of like the weird whatever they did for the 80s. All right, just gonna put a few finishing touches on this for tonight. I think off camera, what I'll probably do is take some yellow ochre just to kind of make this a little more opaque along there and also define the silhouette of his head a little bit better. And I'll probably amp up some dark spots in here, like mainly within here, just to make it stand out a little bit better. Yeah, I think all this tells me though is that I probably should get some more gouache to fill out things. The watercolor did not go as well as I thought. It just goes down too tight, too lightly. Let me see. Just seeing where else I need to hit there. Yeah, though I'm used to the gouache being much more opaque, so there's a greater contrast within the pick out thing, and the watercolor just does not provide that. Not unless you gotta like go in there. Yeah, yeah, it looks like a spammer came in. Um, don't know if I am not actually sure. I'll have to ask Bruce about it if I'm able to boot spammers using Streamlabs. or if I gotta do it some other way. Sorry, sorry, Bruce. I was looking at your name and like my brain just no. I gotta ask Alan. My brain just saw your name and like just auto completed it because I was still thinking about the painting. Yeah, I gotta ask Alan to see if there's a way to uh con- like control moderation within Streamlabs. I think there is. I'm just not sure if I'm able to do it from the remote app because like that's how I'm controlling the cameras and looking at the chat right now without having to be like that close to my computer. Like my computer's like 6 feet away right now, so I really can't jump over to it to handle anything. Oh, how have you guys been in the Pacific Northwest? Do you guys, are you still having the heat waves, or have they calmed down? Because it is fucking brutal here. Okay, so you only had the one heat wave. You didn't. It hasn't kept up. Oh, very nice. It has been unbearably hot here. We went to the zoo earlier today, and just being outside, you're drenched in sweat. We had to like take showers once we got back home because it was just so terrible. That's Florida though. Yeah, exactly. It is hell's waiting room. And climate change is just making it hotter and even more unpleasant. We'd been thinking about moving though, to be honest. Um, I think the main thing right now that keeps us from doing it is neither of us has any prospects of moving into another city right now, which I think if it was if either of us were on our own, we would probably just make the jump. Um, but because we have Marcy, we don't want to like really we don't want to like put her at risk or anything like that. And then we still have our parents around, which is nice because it gives us free daycare for when we need it. Um, that's partly why I'm looking into. I knew that the heat wave was really out of character for you guys. But yeah, that's also partly why I'm looking into more ad agency artwork so I can move into freelance with that because it pays well, and then the turnaround times are not something I'm unfamiliar with. It's about what I deal with for apparel art anyway, so I'd rather just get paid more for the same amount of bullshit I'm putting up with. Alright, one last little bit right here. And then I think that's done. Excuse me. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. This is gold. Excuse me. Sorry, I had like a lump in my throat. This is a golden acrylic titanium white that I'm just using for this. And it's just slightly watered down so I can kind of build it up. Probably noodling down this too much now, to be honest. Okay. Just kind of doing a double check real quick to see if there's any area. You know what, I do want to add just a little highlight on the lip there. And then I'll call it a night. Okay. I think that's going to do it for me for tonight, since I need to get up early tomorrow. So it kind of got there. I do think I need to hit up the darks a little bit more, emphasize those a little bit better. I might go back in with the colored pencil just to see if I can bump that up a bit more before I go back in with more acrylic. I think, though, it's at like a good midway point for this. I'm not really going to do any color with it. I'm just going to kind of keep this black and white, but I do think I will use some yellow ochre just to separate it out from the background and make that a little bit more distinct. I'm just kind of looking over to see if there's any areas I really missed. Yeah, I think what I'll probably do is off camera I'll probably play with some brush flow just to maybe make some movement within the part right up here. Yeah, it's coming along. It's definitely not what I would consider done by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got to be done for tonight. Just because I got to get to bed and all that. So at least I did get a little bit of paint on there, and it did help it. The acrylic did help push the forms a little bit more and get things to kind of stand out. I think once I do some washes of acrylic, like black acrylic in some areas, just to deepen the blacks and punch those up, that'll help it too. And then again, like I said, the yellow ochre along the back, that'll help just kind of define this form right here a little bit better of his head. Right now it's a little too wishy-washy, I think, and not quite standing out as much as I would hope. But that is something I will pick at another time. So for tonight, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everyone that stopped by. Again, I was doing this to basically. I always thought like Creature of Black Lagoon was kind of like Universal's take on the Shadow of Innsmouth thing, even though it's not quite, but it kind of had some themes of that. So I thought it would be appropriate to do a live stream of this with the launch of my Kickstarter this week for the Cthulhu Idols. Let me just make sure I have them in. Oh my goodness, in frame. They are cold cast resin. The link for them for the Kickstarter is on my Twitter at ASidesArt. It's like the top pinned tweet on my profile, so you can check that out. We're right now a little. Last I checked earlier tonight, we were a little shy of halfway funded. Hoping we can get at least halfway funded before the end of this week, if not more so. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, please feel free to check it out. I think might only be you, Bruce, and Errol right now, though. I can't make out if that says 2 viewers on this thing. So if it is just you guys, thank you for stopping by. Otherwise, yeah, I will catch you guys later. Thank you again. Cell stream. Drop us in there. So how do I do that? I actually have no idea how to do a raid on someone's stream. I'll have to look into that to see. I don't know if there's a way within this. That might be something I have to do like through Twitch. I'll have to figure that out later to kind of sort it out. But for now, I'm gonna pop off for the night. I'll probably give Sal a quick follow on Twitch and Twitter just to touch base with him again and all that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later.